Well, if you or someone you know has struggled with cancer, I'm sure you're familiar with the question, what comes next? Well, Roslyn Franken survived cancer when she was 29 years old, and now, 10 years later, she's used the experience to turn her life around. She managed to beat her long-term weight problems. She is giving a talk tomorrow at Hope and Cope, the support center for people living with cancer, and she's on the line. Hi, Roslyn.
Hi there, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. What kind of support did you have when you were diagnosed with cancer?
Well, when I was going through it, I didn't have as much support as I would have liked, which makes me want to promote even more so how important that support factor is, because I believe that the support that I did have made a huge difference, but the more support one can have, the better.
Now, when you talk about support, what do we mean?
Support being your family, your loved ones, people there to really feel that you're cared for is a huge thing. And one of the things that when I went through it, and I think a lot of people sometimes feel this way, we feel like, we don't want to be a burden on others, or we don't want to ask for help or support. We want to feel like, I should be able to do it on my own. And one of the big lessons I learned through my cancer experience is that asking for help and reaching out for support is not a sign of weakness, right? A lot of times we think of it as a sign of weakness or dependency or neediness if we ask. And I think reaching out for help and support is one of the biggest gifts you can give yourself when you're going through a difficult time. It just took me a little while to figure that out.
And how did you come to figure it out?
The epiphany, and this is one of the things I talk about in terms of the attitude that we have as self-reliance, was going through my chemo treatments. I actually found myself taking a city bus to the hospital to go for my treatments. And my husband at the time, and notice how I say at the time, yeah. He didn't take me and didn't make arrangements, and I didn't ask anybody for all the reasons I just mentioned, until somebody said to me, how are my treatments going and how was I getting there? And when I told them I was taking a bus, they were mortified.
Because of the possibility of infection, when you're going for chemo, your system is already weakened, and on top of that, it's just extra fatigue to be taking a bus, right?
Oh, exactly. And also, there's the emotional component too, right? You're going for chemotherapy because you're fighting cancer. And yes, the risk of that, your immune system is weakened, and plus you don't typically feel very good after having that. So getting on a city bus is not something I would recommend to anybody.
No.
But this person basically offered to take me, and I realized in that moment that, I'm always there for other people to help them in their time of need, and I thought, she really wants to do this, and what's wrong with accepting help?
And that turned everything around for you.
It really made a huge difference to be able to say, it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to be human. There's no need to try and be superhuman when you're going through this. And some people do that. They want to pretend like nothing's wrong and they can do everything exactly as they've always done before. But you know what? It really does change things.
And I understand that you were dealing with a weight problem at the time as well?
Well, the weight came on, I was a little bit overweight then, but it was really 10 years after my cancer, when I was about 39 turning 40, when I literally got on the scale one day and was at my heaviest weight ever and thought, this makes no sense. I'd already lost my health, right? So what else needed to happen to kick me into action to say, I need to start taking better care of myself? And that was the day where I just said, that's it. I have a degree in human systems intervention, which is the study of how people learn and change, and I was helping other people set goals and achieve goals. Yet here I was, 40 pounds overweight and growing, and thinking, I need to be able to walk the talk.
But how are you able to learn from that to be able to make the change?
Say that again, sorry?
How are you able to take that understanding and apply it, for example, to the weight problem?
I looked at it as there are certain mental attitudes that we have and a certain level of awareness that we have to create for ourselves in order to create positive change in how we do things, but make that change stick. Because a lot of people are terrified of change. They'd rather stay with the status quo and do things what they're used to, even if they're not happy, than to actually take a risk and try to do something differently, even if it's going to make them feel better. And my focus was on, you know what, I'm going to fight the fear. I'm going to get through this, because it's like anything else in life. When you first learn something, it's always scary at first, right?
Absolutely, and as you said, I mean that's the key. At some point, you have to get the motivation, and it's not always obvious. You can, as you said, you struggle with it for 10 years before you finally said, "Hey, I deserve better."
I deserve better. That's so much of it, and unfortunately, for many people, it takes a crisis situation for them to wake up and do something differently.
Now, your talk tomorrow is called Healthy Eating and Positive Living.
Yes.
What are you hoping that people will take away from your talk?
Well, it's healthy eating and positive living, celebrating the power of choice. And what I'm hoping people will take away from the talk is to understand that stress, the way we respond to the things that happen in our life, so much of it is self-inflicted stress. And I believe that self-inflicted stress causes a lot of health problems, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So I'm looking to help people understand what I've been through, but also how they can look at their own attitudes and look at what they need to change and how to change it to minimize their self-inflicted stress. Because it's self-abuse. But we don't even know we're doing it most of the time. So I'm there to raise awareness, and the talk is geared towards young adults. And having gone through the cancer myself at the age of 29, I can certainly identify with them and give them the message that there is life beyond your cancer. You are not your cancer.
Roslyn, thank you very much for speaking with us.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Roslyn Franken is the author of the A-List, 9 Guiding Principles for Healthy Eating and Positive Living. She survived cancer when she was 29. And tomorrow she's giving a talk at the Hope and Cope Wellness Center. That's at 4635 Côte St. Catherine, 4635 Côte St. Catherine. She'll be speaking around 5:30 p.m. It's free. Seating is limited, so you can call to reserve a space. And the number is 514-340-3616. 514-340-3616.